Clark County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
Hello everyone, Jacob Granneman here with your Tuesday evening update from Clark County Today. Clark County added 77 new COVID-19 cases since Monday, though there have been no deaths reported in almost a week. The rate of new cases also dropped for the second consecutive week from nearly 434 per 100,000 people last week to 386 this week. Active cases dropped below 700 with 677 people still within 10 days of a positive test or symptom onset. Hospitalizations have ticked up slightly overnight with 45 confirmed and 9 suspected cases, accounting for 8.5% of overall bed space. The number of intensive care beds occupied, however, dipped below 50% for the first time in several weeks. Hospitals around the state continue to work through COVID-19 vaccinations of frontline medical workers. As of last week, the state had distributed just under 128,000 doses of both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, with hopes for another 100,000 combined this week. Those are going to people included in Phase 1A of the vaccine distribution plan, including as many as 500,000 healthcare employees, paramedics, and firefighters. The first people to receive the vaccine earlier this month should be in line to receive a second dose starting next week. At the moment, the state hasn't provided guidance on who will be included in the second phase of vaccinations, though it's likely to include police officers, teachers, and possibly people who work in the food services industry. The state hopes to begin receiving regular shipments of both vaccines each week starting in January, though final amounts haven't been disclosed. With New Year's Eve fast approaching, there are varied rules for using fireworks around Clark County. They run the gamut from a total ban in Vancouver and Ridgefield to using safe and sane fireworks in Washougal. Here's Fire Marshal Ron Schumacher explaining Washougal's new rules.
Again, this year, only safe and sane fireworks can be used in the city limits of Washougal. This means any fireworks that fly, explode, or travel more than 1 foot into the air or more than 6 feet on the ground are prohibited within Washougal city limits.
As always, we encourage everyone to be safe while enjoying their New Year's celebrations. Visit clarkcountytoday.com to read our full story, which includes a link to the rules for each city. The COVID relief legislation that was signed into law by President Trump this week included a Congresswoman Jaime Herrera Beutler-led bipartisan measure to issue hardship waivers for congressionally approved pandemic unemployment assistance overpayments by state unemployment agencies. With Herrera Beutler's bill now a law, states may waive unemployment assistance overpayments when the individual receiving the jobless benefits is not at fault and in which the collection of overpayments would create further financial harm. A rush to get money out the door and a lack of proper security contributed to unemployment claims fraud that cost the state of Washington at least $600 million this year. For more details, see our full story at clarkcountytoday.com. The city of Camas has 2 new department heads. One is a new position, a director of communications for the city. The other replaces the retired manager of Parks and Recreation. Brian Rashall will become Camas's first ever director of communications. Trang Lam will become the director of Parks and Recreation. The city administration and mayor proposed to elevate the Parks and Recreation position from manager to director with a 25% increase in compensation. That drew pushback from the city council, resulting in a smaller salary being offered to the position. Rashall is coming to Camas from Boulder, Colorado, where he worked as Deputy Director of Communications for the City of Boulder. Prior to that, Rashall served on the communications staff for the University of North Alabama. Trang Lam comes from the University of Portland, where she served as an Associate Vice President for Land Use and Planning. Go to clarkcountytoday.com to read our full story. As a high school sports reporter, Paul Valencia usually is crazy busy for 9 months out of the year. Well, not this year. Here's Paul with a year in review of high school sports in a year without sports.
The Union Titans boys and girls basketball teams played on the final day of the winter sports season on March 7th. No one at that time knew that it would be the last major sporting event in high school sports in 2020. A handful of golf matches and spring sports were played before everything was shut down. At first, we thought it would last a few weeks. Then, spring sports were called off. By the fall, no football, volleyball, soccer, slow pitch softball. None of the individual sports were played either. That meant no fans at Doc Harris Stadium on Friday nights. There was no defense of Camas' state football championship. And as the calendar turned to December, no basketball, no wrestling, no nothing. Last week, I talked to Union coach Gary Mills. He coached the girls basketball team on that final day of winter sports in March, then coached a golf match the first week of spring sports before everything shut down. For his interesting point of view, as well as my perspective as a high school sports reporter, read my column reviewing the year in sports on ClarkCountyToday.com.
Thanks, Paul, for that look back on pandemic-impacted sports. In the next few days, we will follow with additional looks back at 2020, including a video year in review package and another focusing on some memorable news stories of the past year. We include more information in tomorrow's Clark County Today update, and then we'll publish the features on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We hope you enjoy this glance back on what we all agree has been a memorable and historic year. Well, there's a look at the stories we've got for you at ClarkCountyToday.com. Be sure to check in with us on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to see when stories are posted and join the conversation. You can also send us your story ideas and feedback to our email, which is news@ClarkCountyToday.com. From all of us, I'm Jacob Granneman. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you again tomorrow.